Alrighty, hello everybody, welcome back. It is stage 2, week number 5. So, last week-ish, I've been battling a cold. It's been winning. You might be able to tell by my voice. So, keep that in mind. If I have to cough or whatever, I'll try to go away from the mic. But last week was the first homestead. It was in Dallas. It was a super cool event. I would highly recommend, if you have not seen it, going back and watching the VODs, because the energy was crazy. They had a lot of good events going on throughout. And while they did have some technical difficulties the first day, I think overall it was a excellent event for the sport itself, or for the esport itself, I should say. So that was good. Dallas got a couple of nice wins. The crowd was going nuts. So yeah, it was a very good start, and I'm excited for the next one. I believe we have one in Atlanta next stage. I believe. Yes, it's the Atlanta one, and then stage 4 they have the LA one, where it's still in LA, but it's in a different part of LA, I believe. So anyway, we're talking about stage 2, week number 5. And the stage playoffs are getting closer to set. If you look at it, we got a pretty good amount of teams that have clinched. Gladiators, Shock, Titans, Excel, and London have clinched. And then you got the some other teams fighting for the last 3 spots. Hangzhou and Dallas are looking good. Seoul also controls their destiny. Same thing with Shanghai. And then Chengdu and Fusion are looking to sneak in. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams that are like Atlanta down or done, and Boston is basically done as well. So this is definitely a more spread out stage, and the fact like the bottom tier teams like Toronto, Guangzhou, Washington, Houston, and Florida have really looked like bottom tier teams. And then the upper tier, like the top three in particular, plus Gladiators, Spitfire, and Dallas, have looked a lot better than the rest of the other league. So we'll see which of these teams make it in. We'll see if there's honestly a pretty solid chance that these 8 teams are the 8. I believe Hangzhou does play Seoul at some point, though. I think they're the last match. So if we see a good week from Shanghai, they could make their first stage playoff of the season. So without further ado, we're going to go over and look at the predictions. It is a little bit of a shortened week. For this video, we're only going to be going over Thursday and Friday as per usual. And then we'll have the other one on Saturday. But as you can see, there's only 3 matches per day, so we'll get through this a little quicker, which is good because my voice has been sus all week, and I could start hacking or have to blow my nose a million times at any point. So we're going to jump right into it and just spare you guys that. Dallas Fuel, Florida Mayhem. So Florida still looking for that first win of the stage, looking for their second win overall. I don't think this is where they find it. There's a chance for a little bit of a letdown from Dallas, especially right away. They're off of that high of competing in their hometown and having the crowd go absolutely nuts for them. Obviously, in the Blizzard Arena, there aren't as many Fuel fans there, and the capacity is a lot smaller, so it won't be as raucous this time. So maybe there's a little bit of a let up in the beginning. I think there's a decent chance Florida could take map 1. But then after that, I think they'll be able to recover and be just fine. Dallas is playing like a top team right now. Top 10, I would say. Not top 5, but top 10. And Florida is looking very bad right now. I don't really see them being able to bounce back, especially on some of the maps like Temple. I think they're going to have a very hard time attacking. And then on Rialto, I think Dallas will just roll them over with goats. So I'm going to say Florida snags map number 1, but then Dallas finishes it out 3-1 from there. Next, we got Philadelphia in a pretty much a must-win game. They're sitting at 3-3 on the stage. They're taking on San Francisco. San Francisco has not lost a map this stage. They are 5-0, 20-0. And bold prediction, I think Philly takes a map. There's no way in hell I think they take the series, but on either I look at Hanamura and Junkertown, maps 2 and 4, as potential wins for Philadelphia. I think Shock should be able to beat them on Oasis. That one could get a little dicey too, but map 3 for sure, San Francisco will roll Philly. That one won't even be close. But maybe Philly can bunker up and get a good defense off on Hanamura and give themselves a chance. Or maybe they can focus more on a DPS center comp and give them problems on Junkertown. So I'll say Philly breaks the streak. Philly generally does play well when they play against good teams. Not as much this season, but I think they'll step up to the plate and give it a good shot. And while they will lose in the end and get knocked out of the stage playoffs, they will be able to take one map. And then the last match of the week or of the day is two teams that have struggled a bunch this stage. Guangzhou has gotten their first win for this stage, so they solidify a little bit. They did beat Atlanta, which is the most impressive victory of all time, but they have looked better, especially when running that Doomfist. And then Houston has shown spurts, especially on control maps, but particularly Busan, when they can play the DPS comps. But in terms of the GOATs and GOAT variations, they look very bad. They put up a decent fight against Fuel, but I kind of assumed that would be the case, kind of like what we see for the battle for LA, where no matter what the skill level of the teams are, they generally play each other close, and the rivalry games, generally tend to bring that out for teams. Like we see it in the NFL as well, and in the NBA where you have your big rivals, you're always going to play them tough, even if you're having a bad season. So I'm really tempted to pick Houston here to get their first win of the stage, but when I look at the maps, I just trust Guangzhou to be able to run GOATs a little more than them, even though their GOATs look very bad too. But I think on maps like Rialto, especially, they can just run Doomfist GOATs, and I don't know if Houston's going to be able to counter it at all. Hangzhou wasn't able to counter it at all, and they're looking a lot better than Houston is. So, two struggling teams. I'm going to go with Guangzhou. I think they have a little more momentum right now. Houston's really feeling bad. They're on a 6-game losing streak, their longest in the 2 seasons. They're really starting to free fall. They keep rotating people in and out. We didn't see Jake for like 2 weeks, and Arhan was there, and then Jake was back the last couple weeks, and Arhan's gone, and Cool Matt pops out of nowhere sometimes, and Spree's doing that, and then you got Dante on Diva, and I just don't think their coaching staff has it figured out. I don't think they have confidence in this meta. Even I thought this meta would be better for them than Stage 1, but it just has never really gelled for them, and I don't think it will now. I'm going to take Guangzhou 3-1. And then moving forward to Friday, we got Boston Uprising taking on LA Gladiators. So Boston is, like I said, they're at 2-3. They're kind of fighting for their playoff life. They're basically done. I don't think they're officially eliminated, but they need to win both their matches, and they're sitting at -7 map differential for the stage, so they're really not in a good position right now. And I don't think it's going to get any easier for them with the Gladiators. Looking at it, we got Oasis, Hanamura, Blizzard World, and then Rialto. And with Boston, to this point, I just consider them a slightly worse Dallas, where they're a solid team. They're going to beat teams that are below them consistently. They have some really solid players. They have good team cohesion, but their ceiling just isn't quite there. Like I said, I'm actually a little lower than I was on Dallas in the beginning of the season because I just don't see the high end. I don't see their ability to beat the top tier teams, and I don't really know how anyone could argue with the fact that the Gladiators are the 4th best team in the league right now. You certainly couldn't put them in the top 3. I don't think they're that close to the top 3, honestly. But in terms of everybody else, I mean, the only other team that I would put up there is London, who's inconsistent, and then Seoul, who the Gladiators beat this stage. So I just don't find a way for Boston to win this match. I think they'll keep it pretty close. I think that Fusions will have some plays. I think he's a bit better than Roar in this meta, where we do see a bit more Rhine. But in the end. I think the Gladiators as a team are a little bit too much for them. Boston has struggled recently, and with a long time to prepare for both teams, I just think that the Gladiators are going to come out hyper-focused, and especially a couple of these middle maps in here, I think are pretty good for Gladiators. Even though they have struggled on Hanamura. They have struggled on it in the past, but I'm confident in their ability to win Oasis and Blizzard World. I'm going to say Gladiators 3-1. I could see this one being a 2-1. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they tie on Hanamura, but I'll say Gladiators 3-1. Next, this one will probably be a slaughter. Toronto Defiant taking on Vancouver Titans. So Toronto made one of the there it is, made one of the most head-scratching moves in the entire Overwatch League, in my opinion, by picking up IM37, who is an incredible talent in terms of mechanically, but he doesn't have much experience at all in the pro scene, even in contenders play. Like there's guys who have been contenders for 3-4 seasons, and IM37 joined an open team a couple months ago and was on a contenders team, and then boom, is on an Overwatch League team. And if this was just like the Widow like hit scan meta, then I think it would make a lot more sense, because he can click heads really well on the McCree and the Widow. I think he's shown promise on Tracer as well, but this isn't the meta for that. This is the meta for coordination, and somebody who's barely ever been on pro teams is going to be really weak in that. So we've seen him be one of the worst Zaryas in the league, stats-wise, and I think eye test-wise as well. They tried him on Brig for a little bit too, and that didn't work, so they switched him. So I think they're in huge trouble here. I think Vancouver absolutely pounds them into the dirt 4-0 and knocks them further and further away from that season playoffs, because assuming they do lose, they're going to be below 500. They're going to be down to 6-7 after a 5-2 first stage. So it's bad times in Toronto right now. I think if the meta shifts, there's definite chances for them to make a bounce back in later stages, but at this point in this meta, they're a bottom tier team. And the final match of Friday, we got Shanghai Dragons taking on the Washington Justice. So Shanghai's been looking better and better. They're up to 6-6. Sorry, they're 7-6. No, they are 6-6. They're going to be 7-6 after this match. I still don't trust Washington. I think they need to change their main tank, otherwise they're never going to consistently win. Giannis just doesn't really have it for me. I love the pickup of Sleepy. I absolutely love that pick. I think he's a massive upgrade over Guido. I've been very harsh on Guido, and I've been a big supporter of Sleepy ever since like the midpoint of last year, when I thought that he was the best player on that team for basically all of season 1. And him, as soon as he starts to really get his coordination down with Arc, I think that they're going to form a very formidable support duo. Corey remains dangerous on Widowmaker. I think they have talent in Stratus and Otto, but in terms of GOATs, it's just not going down. And I think even though Washington is a pretty darn talented, like especially with the last couple of moves they made, they're becoming a more and more talented team. But Shanghai is even more talented in my opinion. They're like the Ding and DM are nuts on the on DPS roles. So even if they go more DPS, I think Shanghai has an advantage. If they go more GOATs, I think Shanghai still has an advantage. So I don't see any way for Washington to win this match. Would they take Busan? No, I'm not going to give it to them. I think they draw on Paris. I think Washington pulls out a draw on Paris, but they're not able to take a map. I got Shanghai taking this one 3-0, and if they do win, they'll be at 4-2, and they'll be in a pretty decent position to sneak into the stage playoffs, and that would be super exciting for that organization. From going for 0-4 to a decent stage where you win 3 matches to maybe winning 4 or 5 and making a stage playoff would be huge for them. But yeah, I think they will end up getting that victory. So those are the matches for today and tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be feeling better by Saturday, Sunday, so that I can go a little more in depth with it and not lose my voice. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. If there's any predictions that you disagree with. I didn't get super risky with these picks. I don't see any value of being risky, especially in this stage where we haven't really seen many upsets. So good luck to your teams if they are playing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have yourselves a fantastic couple of days, and then I'll see you in the next one.